Welcome to Stargate SG1 for the first time. Still not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Aiken, and I'm watching Stargate SG1 for the first time.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I'm watching Stargate SG1 for the 47th time. However, for the first time, I am watching this show through a specific lens. I'm looking for those good sci-fi messages. You know those messages that sci-fi as a genre is uniquely positioned to do. Messages that hold up a mirror to society, show us how awful or awesome we can be. Messages that give us hope things can be better in the future, or messages that just show us how to be better humans to one another.
Brent, this week we're watching The Fifth Race. Now, my prediction for this one is pretty specific. It's that we're going to meet a new race that will somehow be the fifth one, even though I think I came up with 7 or 8 off the top of my head last week, but somehow it'll be the fifth one. I don't think it's going to be like a race, like a runny race or a drivey race or whatever, because middle of some big episodes, and I feel like to take a sidetrack to be like, hey, we're going to go to a planet and go run a race and there'll be some stakes tied to it. It doesn't fit the tone of where we are right now.
That's fair. It's also not season 7.
Right. Where they just
usually where you get that episode.
We have 8 episodes to wrap this whole series up, but we have to come up with 22. So race, we'll do that.
That's a fun one-off. Well, Jeff, that is your prediction for what this episode is about. I do want to take a moment and just remind people from last week's episode, sitting right back here behind me. The audio folks can't see this. Which way to go my finger? Anyway, right there, Mickey is holding on to a little piece of paper on which I wrote down a prediction last week. At some point in today's episode, when it is appropriate, I will pull that prediction out.
Oh, wow.
And I'll share it, and we'll see if I was right.
Okay.
And if I am, I get to bring my crown from Babylon 5.
Which people love.
Oh, it's their favorite thing. It's their absolute favorite thing from Babylon 5.
And we dust that bad boy off, people celebrate. Hey, Brent, let's get into this thing. Why don't you tell us about the fifth race?
Yes, well, this is the 15th episode, season 2, the fifth race. Original air date, December 16th, 1998. So it's about a 6-week break from Halloween. This episode is written by frequent director and writer Robert C. Cooper. Jeff, do you remember this name? We have talked about it before.
We have. I recognize the name.
Robert Cooper.
He becomes a big deal, right, at some point.
He does. He eventually becomes head writer of the show. He, producer, executive producer, very much works his way up. He also will be a co-creator of the 2 spinoff series.
Oh, wow.
Big deal in this universe. This is one of his episodes. Everything else I have to tell you, just going to have to wait for the end. So with that, it is time for us to go watch this episode. If you're just joining us for the first time, how this works is Jeff and I are going to watch the episode together right now. If you're watching a video, whether it's YouTube or Patreon, you're going to get to watch us do the reaction to this episode in real time. If you're on Patreon, you get the full unedited version. Head over to patreon.com/Babylon5 first, or check the show notes for the most updated URL. If you're on YouTube, you'll get the cut up, copyright compliant. Well, we try to stay copyright compliant here at this stuff. We're not trying to cheat anybody out of anything.
Nope.
Keep with the heart of everything that we're trying to do. We'll do that here on YouTube.
If you're listening to this on a podcasting app, though, you're going to do something pretty cool that no one else gets to do. You're going to head into the gate
to the future.
Boosh, back. You're going to be in the future waiting for us. We'll get there in probably, about 50 some odd minutes, something like that. So just chill. For you, it'll feel more like about 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. And when we arrive, I'm going to share my for the first time reactions. Brent's going to share any sci-fi messages that he might have found. And I can't wait to do that. So Brent, let's start the fifth race. On your mark, get set,
Closely,
go.
You'll see that the symbols match one of the inscriptions from the meeting place on Ernest's planet.
Okay.
Sure.
Want a cookie?
So you realize what this means?
You know what the circle of symbols says?
No, I don't even know what it sounds like. But based on the Norse rune at the bottom of this inscription, I'm positive that one of the 4 races in the Alliance is Thor's race, the Asgard. Obviously, that would make the aliens that belong to this language their allies.
I do believe this world is worth exploring, Daniel Jackson.
Teal'c speaks up.
Yep.
Hello! I'm Daniel Jackson. We're peaceful explorers from the planet Earth.
Oh, you're peaceful. Okay, we'll come down now.
It's worth a try.
Maybe
Daniel,
we need a dance.
how long you figure we ought to hang out here and scratch our cosmic heads?
Well, we can't just give up.
Why not?
That's a great question.
Let's go home.
Oh, I saw it turn into the letter things.
Okay, that's something.
Whoa! He's getting message in a bottle.
Colonel, his pulse is racing. Daniel, dial the gate.
Oh, gee, you think his pulse is racing? Yeah, he did a really good job of laying there so still.
Just like... I freaked out. That thing opened up and I was like, whoa!
Yeah, it's one of those things that the editing on it I wish was a bit tighter, because
Yeah.
if you're looking into something and it changes, you back way the frick up super fast. He doesn't. He just looks back and then he looks in again, and that thing, man, it looked like two hands just grabbed him by the back of the head and was holding him.
Those were hands. Like it was shaped.
What it looked like. Yeah,
or at least like shaped totally like them. But yeah, so I noticed you walked into that circle and like that line broke, and for a split second it turned into that rune circle that Daniel had found. So it all ties together.
Well,
Teal'c looked, I looked. It grabbed my head, I passed out, I came to, we're here, we're home. Can we go?
Sir, are you okay?
Just fine. A little tired, maybe.
Colonel cranky.
Are you sure you're okay?
I am absolutely fine. There is nothing Cruvis with me.
Is this going to be like some other thing living in him, sort of a thing that like they implanted some being?
You just said there's nothing Cruvis with you.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I like that. I did not.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Didn't.
Did.
Cruvis, what is that?
I don't know.
Why don't you take some time to relax, Colonel? You're dismissed. But do me a favor and stay on the base.
Don't go anywhere.
Real close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my guess at this point is it grabbed him and it's like some sort of a energy being or something like that.
Keep an eye on him.
It's how they spread them around or whatever. And that energy thing will be the fifth race. So it's like...
What is the reason for these padded gloves on you?
Keep your hands up. Gotta keep your feet moving. And bend your kozars. Keep your kozars bent there.
I am unfamiliar with that word.
What, kozars?
I believe you are referring to your legs, O'Neill.
No, he said your Kozars.
Yeah, it's very clear.
He said it multiple times. Your Kozars.
Or is this going to be Deep Space Nine's Babel?
Remind me of that episode, Jeff.
That's the one where everyone starts speaking gibberish? First
All
season
right.
one. Easy to skip over.
What the hell is going on with me?
What do you mean?
Well, apparently I have lost the philatus to speak properly.
Philatus.
That wasn't a joke. I didn't do that on purpose. Nu ani unquietas, hic quavi deum.
Jack, are you reading this?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, I'm just looking at it, and the words pop right into my front. Does anybody think this is odd?
Yeah, we're all on board with that right now.
Do you have any idea what this means?
He has a beautiful mind.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the simple equations don't make any sense.
I like it actually had a function of
this is like
Stargate
nothing I've
symbols
ever seen.
on it.
Did it really?
Yeah.
A normal human brain operates at about 5 to 10% of its functional capacity at any given time. Colonel O'Neill's brain is operating at over 90% capacity.
Well, how is that possible?
I don't know.
I need this.
What for?
For my electronics, my energy symbiont.
I have no idea.
I gotta feed it energy so it can grow.
Where is he now?
He's with Teal'c.
Colonel,
Yes, sir?
what are you doing?
I don't know, sir. You know me in computers.
I'll get him away from the
Colonel,
computer.
I'm ordering you to stop.
I'd love to, sir, but I can't.
Stop him.
No, they're not here. I'm not firing it.
Sir, I think he wants to finish what he's doing.
I don't know if he should, though.
I can't reboot, sir. Uh-oh.
Captain,
Sir, this is machine code. The numbers the Colonel was entering must have been some sort of program. What did you do?
It's like he's just along for the ride.
It's the destination map. These are all the Stargates we've been to.
Sam, are those new gates popping up?
It's not possible.
I just gotta say, Jeff, I love watching people yell at you for looking down, taking your notes while the show's
Feels good.
going on. It makes me
Validating.
feel so good. Yep. And I get it, folks. I get it. Now I get it. I'm on your side. I'm with you. I have the ability to go stop.
Right. We get to do it together and be like, I don't have to wait till after the fact. All right, here we go.
Right.
The Colonel must have input new Stargate locations into the computer.
Well, I guess that thing must have put more than just a language into your brain. That circular inscription read the place of our legacy. What if that thing you looked into was some sort of alien database, like the one we found on Ernest's planet? All the knowledge that these particular aliens possessed.
Colonel, you're not under arrest, but you're also not to touch anything else on this base without permission. Understood?
Like, I get why he would say that. I 1000% get why he would say that.
Yeah.
At the same time, he just gave you a crap ton of new locations that weren't even on the cartouche from Abydos.
Right.
Like,
Nothing bad happened.
Exactly. Like, I get it, but come on, dude. Like,
I think it's more like, just you need a supervisor wherever you go.
For so long.
Yep.
Colonel, that program you entered rewrote massive amounts of the machine code.
Colonel, your hard drive has been filled with information that is written in a language your computer doesn't understand. If it continues to progress the way it has thus far, you may eventually lose the ability to write or even comprehend us. Or worse, the computer could shut down altogether.
Also, maybe it fully integrates.
So
and
we've been
it's
sending
fine. This is
probes
just the
to
process.
the addresses Colonel O'Neill entered into the computer, hoping that one would lead us to the race that affected his mind. We think we may have found something.
You see, I'm pretty sure that Jack is speaking the language of the original gate builders. Right now, I'm possibly his only hope for communicating on any kind of serious level. I can't leave him like this. And I won't.
Daniel's a good guy.
Yeah.
Your mission is a go.
And he sees that big picture, right? It's not about ego. It's not about going and seeing the ancients first. It's about, like, this is what we're here to do. And I'm the guy who can do it. Do we know what that stuff is? Have we seen that before? I don't think we have. That yellow glowy
What's he doing now?
Building something.
No.
I've been taking some notes, but I'm
But
finding it a little hard to follow.
You did see him take it out of Teal'c's staff weapon.
Okay, that was his staff. Okay.
Yeah, so you can so it's something inside his staff weapon, so it's
Probably a power source.
for
Or
the
ammo.
weapon, something.
General, I don't think you understand how hot it's gonna get. Nothing you send us will provide enough protection. We'll be dead before the end of the day, sir.
It's not good.
That's it?
A light? You made a lantern?
Okay, well, let's just leave this thing for now. Believe it or not, I have something a little more important to discuss.
I love how they have him not talking. Because, like, he can talk, just in another language, but they're like, hey, Robert, don't worry about it. We'll hand you a handful of words you got to learn, and that's it. Playing to the actor's strengths.
I was going to say,
tell you this before because I thought you had
he's
enough
not
in your
saying a
mind.
word, and look, he's acting his
Sam
butt
Teal'c
off.
and the rest of SG1 are in trouble. Shut up and go away.
Jack's still Jack.
Right? Right. At least it didn't take over his personality, so.
He's like, I'm going to do nerd math stuff,
Problem
and
we're
I
having
can't
is
have
powering
you
up the
watch me
DHD
do
and getting
this.
it to recharge its capacitors.
What is it?
The Colonel has a solution.
It does?
Wow.
We weren't sure what he was drawing at first, but...
That's the dial home device.
And the instructions on how to fix it. There isn't much time. Here, you guys... No idea. Well, actually,
Did you see what he gave him?
Yet, but
What Jack
work
laid on
it.
the table?
No, the drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear what it was?
No.
It was blueprints for the DHD and how to fix it.
Oh my God.
Because, with Sam and the planet, the DHD is locking up the gate in mid-dial. So I'm just saying, look, whatever happens after this, they now have blueprints for the DHD.
That's huge.
Build one.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they won't.
Oh.
Well, it's not going to work well within their nice little computer program, SG Military Command. Wouldn't look right. It would mess up the decor, I think.
The object has reached its destination, sir.
Now we have to hope those instructions were right.
He looks at Jack.
Tell you what, though, General Hammond, hope is not a viable strategy.
Jack's whole thing was look forward and blink.
Yep. There you go.
Stargate's trying to draw more power than usual from the system.
Oop.
That's my cue.
I'm guessing we should follow him.
I like that.
What are you doing?
Wait a minute, I gotta see where this is going.
Hey, everything he's done so far has been
that means
positive.
good.
I feel like this is just a really fast way to upgrade the SGC.
Sir.
Get an alien database in here, have Jack go through some
gate
stuff,
is dialing
upgrades,
out.
and then fix it.
Where to?
I have no way of knowing.
You know,
Completely lost
sometimes
control, sir.
it really is best just to sit back and see what happens.
Yeah. Real good leader knows when to just get out of the way.
Wormhole is tracking.
Sir, the computer indicates that the wormhole is leaving our known network of Stargates. It's going outside of our galaxy. Far out.
That's why the gate needed all the extra power.
Go in.
Colonel.
The gate builders went beyond
I'm
the
just
rim.
supposed to let you
or
go.
whatever they did. You know, like
He's already gone, General. I don't think we have much of a choice.
they're hoping Lorian goes with them.
I like how Jack, he just stands there until the dude moves. Like, it's a boss move.
I try and send him out through. I mean, see if he lets me do that, you know. Get some data at the least.
I will accompany you, O'Neill.
I really think he needs to do this alone, Teal.
If I'm Teal, I'm going.
I really hope this is the right thing to do.
Wait. Without the remote code device, he won't be able to get back.
Without knowing where he's going and why, that could put us in further jeopardy. I'm sorry, I can't authorize it.
Left the galaxy.
We've lost the Traveler.
They haven't quite adjusted for the shifts yet.
Oh! Creepy looking little gray kind of alien thing coming around the corner there. Is it an Asgardian? No, that's different. Those are the Asgards, right? The Asgardians? Okay.
Look at him. Look at him.
It's like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Oh, they got a little hand blaster things too. That's some really fast data transfer.
That's what I'm talking about, man. The way that got downloaded and then taken out. Like,
Computer won't accept the 8th chevron.
You looked into the archive that stores all the ancients' knowledge.
Apparently.
It was not meant for you.
Human physiology has not advanced to the point where your brain could handle that technology.
But your subconscious mind used their knowledge to find us here, where you could get help.
There was once an alliance of 4 great races in the galaxy. The Asgard, the Nox,
Met them.
the Furlings,
Don't know them.
and the Ancients, the builders of the Stargates.
It's a pretty heady group.
The alliance was built over many millennia. Your race has much to prove before we may interact on that level.
Humans are the 5th race.
We are a very curious race.
This is great diplomacy, great first contact. Again, just that honesty from Jack. Just like, I'm not going to play games. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't need to know. Just, this is the truth. This is where we are. I feel like...
You have already taken the first steps towards becoming the 5th race.
There it is. There it is. So we introduced a new major player.
So we're going to have to shut the whole system down and reboot.
Can you close the iris if necessary?
there you go.
Apparently
I love
not.
it.
That's not good.
There's no iris. What? Like, they just let Hammond just left it open. Like,
Big risk. Big risk from a pretty risk-averse dude.
Everything seems to be back online again, sir, including the iris.
Good work, Captain.
I take that back. The iris wasn't working. They didn't have control of the gate. They
Exactly.
couldn't shut the iris if they wanted to. So.
Do you still possess the knowledge of the ancients?
Nope. Don't remember a thing.
But I've got knowledge of an alliance. Some pretty cool stuff.
But you know that meaning of life stuff? I think we're gonna be all right.
Don't often see Jack looking that happy or at peace.
Right? All right, Jeff. Welcome back to all of our audio listeners.
I waved at them like they can see that. Look at that. Hi.
So we have just gotten done watching the 5th race. You for the very first time. Me for Jeff. This honestly might be the 147th time.
Wow.
What you got for us?
I've complained quite a bit, especially around the Thor's episodes. So our entryway to the Asgardians. Are they called the Asgards or the Asgardians?
They're the Asgards.
Asgards. Okay.
Yeah. The Asgardians.
Yeah.
I think is a play on words for Marvel.
Right, there's a little connotation to that one as well. So we'll go with the Asgards. But our introduction to the Asgards, I felt like those episodes were just, the pacing was awful and it was slow and whatever. This episode flew by. Like, we're in the moment where Jack doesn't have the database in his head anymore and he's talking to the Asgards, and I'm just like, is this the end? Like, already? We're here? Beautifully written and
did you
episode.
When that happened, did you look at the bar to see how far we had gone in the episode?
As soon as I had that thought, I looked down, I'm like, what?
There's a lot of time left in this episode.
Yeah. It's wild. So what I love about this episode, one of the many things I love about this episode, kind of hinting maybe where the ranking of this thing might go, by the way, but it took everything that we know up to this point and just up-leveled it, right? Like, everything came together and it opened a lot of doors for us into things. So what we know now that we didn't know before, some dumb stuff like the power source for the staffs are pretty powerful and can be used for other stuff. But we know now where the gates came from, who built them, very, very appropriately named, on-brand name of the Ancients. We know more about the 4 that we learned about in Torment of Tantalus. Like, we knew there was this thing of 4, but we didn't have a lot of information on it. And so now we know the 4, and we know there will be 5 with the humans. And what was interesting, what I liked about the 4 as well, and we talked about at the beginning of this thing, the way this show just handholds a viewer through the whole thing. The Asgards start talking about the Alliance of 4, and they say, the Asgards, and Jack goes, that's you. He says, the Nox, oh, we've met them.
Yeah.
Then they say, the Furlings, oh, haven't met them.
Right.
And the Ancients. So, like, just there you go, on a silver platter, everything you need to know. But I loved how they had one of them, the Furlings, that is new. Yeah. So now we have a door that's open that I don't know when we'll go through it, right? But it's like you've talked about in the past. Stargate is not a serialized show where everything feeds into everything, but it plants these seeds that some get picked up and a lot don't. This is one that will at some point. They've plopped it down.
There is not a master plan for where the story is going overall, a la Babylon 5. That does not exist with Stargate, but they never forget what happened in previous episodes. And sometimes they're like, hey, remember when that thing happened that one episode? Let's follow up on that and see where they are today.
That would be fun.
Or, hey, we're going to plant this thing. And that's the reason why I think I hold Thor's hammer in such high regard, because it's the first time we ever hear about the Asgard, and then even Thor's chariot. I love Thor's chariot. I think Thor's chariot's better than Thor's hammer, but I love that episode, that's solving the puzzle and trying to get things through and all that. It wasn't until watching with you that I went, yeah, I kind of get the pacing issues with that, but I know where it leads.
Exactly.
And this is the first, I will say the first payoff of where that goes to. And yeah.
Like, even just this payoff, I know if I went back and watched Thor's hammer, I would see it in a different way just from this.
Yeah.
And they even referenced Thor's hammer, like that. They did such a great job in this episode of just pointing to all of the things that they needed to. We know more Stargates now. We know there's another galaxy. What was it called? The Ida galaxy. That's where the Asgards were on a planet called Gothala, I think, or something like that. Othala. Okay. Yep. And that's the 8th chevron that comes up that'll pop you into a galaxy far, far away. Trying to see. I feel like I had a question.
So on that level right there, Jeff, this is obviously the first time we're learning that you can add an 8th chevron and that it sends us to a galaxy far, far away, as you say. This is a notable change from the movie, though.
Okay.
I do believe I told you in our pilot episode that we did, one of the changes is that the planet they went to in the movie, which we later know as Abydos, in the movie they say is in a different galaxy on the other side of the universe.
Okay.
The show retcons it to being, actually, it's the closest planet to us in the Gate Network, which is why it worked. And everything that's happening for us is all here in the Milky Way. Yeah. We're all right here in the Milky Way. And this is the first time we actually are leaving the galaxy to go elsewhere. So, yeah, just something to note. That when you watch the movie, don't let it lock your brain up. Just be like,
right. I think it's fine. Well, and I think I knew that going in. Like, the movie is the canon until it's not.
Pretty much.
Just kind of follow that
until the show says something else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you just go with that until the show says something else again. And then you just go with that. Which totally works. It was interesting because I was talking during the episode about this seemed like a really cool way of giving the SGC some upgrades. Because Jack was going through and just, computer binary coding a bunch of stuff. At one point, Jack said that he had altered the core machine language for everything that was going on there. But I got the impression at the end that all of that got wiped out and they're just back to normal. Like, he did all that work to get to the Asgards. It was kind of cool. Even the Asgards were impressed. Like, this database gets pulled into Jack's head and it immediately says, you shouldn't have this. I'm going to make you go to the place where you can get fixed. Like, totally.
We're going to send you to a place for help. By the way, they didn't send you to the ancients. Because the ancients have moved on from this galaxy or from this whatever a long time ago. So we're going to send you to our friends, the Asgard. They'll be able to help you.
Yeah, they'll know exactly what's going on and they'll hook you up really fast. It was interesting too that they, yeah, they're still around, but they're on their way out. Like they're kind of maybe moving out of the neighborhood at least. I thought it was interesting. They had the little thing in their hand because the Gould, right? They have that, but it's a thing they wear. And with the Asgard, it was like part of his hand,
embedded in the hand. Yeah,
yeah. What makes me wonder?
Where did the Gould get the idea for something like that?
Exactly.
Right.
I was gonna say, it makes me wonder. Like, we have these four that are united. They're ancient, right? They go back a long ways. They've more like physically evolved and all those things. Like the Gould, gosh, we just got to make this about. I'm gonna have to use a Babylon 5 comparison.
Oh yes.
Because it is that where there are the first ones and the ancients that happened, and then there were younger races that came, and those ones kind of helped bring them along. Yeah. And what I feel like is this like 3-step thing of we have like the Asgards and the Nox and maybe the Furlings over here that are just about to take that hop beyond the rim, like the Shadows and Vorlons did. Then one step back are the Gould, who are close to that, right? They'd be like almost the Minbari in the thing. They've been around a long time. They worked with these guys. They want to be them in a lot of ways. Just they're evil. They're hardcore. They're blah, 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 but they're trying to mimic things like with
their brains are all messed up from the sarcophaguses that they keep using.
Yep. That just corrupt them, which is why you have the Tok'ra who aren't the corrupted ones and just the differences there. And then you go a step evolutionarily back and then you have humans, which again, in the Babylon 5 comparison, humans are the new player, on the galactic stage, and it's the same thing. That's a pretty common thing in all of sci-fi that we're the new ones. But like I can see this evolutionary progression, and the conflict is the Gould don't want competition from like Earth and the humans, these up and comers, and they want to supplant and replace these four that were there before. And so that's like the overall conflict of Stargate, and everyone's going to get pulled into the middle of it. And that's going to be kind of the overarching piece of until it's not, but for quite a while, I feel like that's going to be kind of where it goes, and we'll find out, right?
We will.
Yeah, this was a great episode. I have a lot of notes, but some of them are just like, yeah, that's the thing, whatever. I had a question here, and then it answered the question. It was kind of, I think the last note that I have, and I talked about this a little bit during the episode. Jack, it's SG1, heads out to a planet without Daniel and Jack. They got some other major kind of, taking command. Things don't go well. Jack's able to help get them back using the database information. He can come back and they're like, hey, that was awesome. Who did that thing? And Sam asks that, and they're like, oh, Jack. And she's like, for real? Like Jack did this? Really? In the same breath, Teal'c just walks up calmly, stoic, well, just big and confident, but with this softness to him, very much like a croissant, right? Where he's just like, he's hard and kind of crispy, but just flaky and fluffy on the inside. And he's like, I am sorry, O'Neill. We could not help you. Like he just immediately connected to him with compassion. And then that happened later. Jack dials in the 8 chevrons. He's going to go to who knows where. And Jack's like, Teal'c's just like, I will go with you. Like, I don't know where we're going. This will likely be a one-way trip, and I'll go because I'm here for you. And I've loved the relationships that have built up in this thing. And it was just a lot of it's around Teal'c, but I just really think it was a really beautiful expression of those relationships.
Well, and Teal'c is one of those people that doesn't speak unless he has something to say. Mm-hmm. And his something to say are always meaningful.
It's always
loaded.
Big.
So whenever he gives you something, there's definitely something there to discuss.
Yeah. Speaking of discussing things, I'm curious what sci-fi messages you pulled out of this one.
It's an interesting piece. For so much of this episode, there really wasn't much. It was a fun episode, cool episode, lots of fun to watch. One of the criticisms we often give this show is that it presents an issue, it says something, and it just doesn't discuss it, doesn't do anything with it. What I'm about to say is they just sort of said something and presented it. They didn't really discuss it, and they didn't have to because it was just there. And it rings all the way true. Of course, I'm talking about the very end of the episode when he does meet the Asgards. And, the litmus test we kind of use for this sci-fi messages, a mirror to society, treating people better, and a hope for the future. Does it hit kind of one of those 3 pieces? We've sort of boiled it down to. When the Asgard sits there and looks at Jack and goes, you have great potential. He says that at that point. You have great potential. There is something I think that has to be true that we believe that about humanity. Now, I know that anytime we start talking about humanity and humanity is the hope of the galaxy, which I say a lot, we always get the comments where people are like, I'm so tired of the trope that humans are just the saviors of everything. I get what you're saying. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here and misunderstand where I'm. First of all, I never get tired of that. I just don't. Because it speaks to where we can go, to what we can be, not what we are, but where we can get to. The idea that the potential for good that exists within the human race, as much crap as we have in our world, as much crap that humans put out there into the universe and put out there, the idea that we can also do really amazing stuff and that we can be this force for good is so inspiring to me that I never get tired. Also, there's just hey, these are our stories and we have to have a person to relate to. So that's why we get to be the ones who go out and do that. But
real quick on that, because I think when you were talking, I drew this parallel to Star Trek. One of the things we talk about with Star Trek is it paints that picture of a brighter future. When we started the Babylon 5 thing, we called the sci-fi messages Star Trek messages.
Yeah.
For that reason. But what I loved about the construction of the lore in the story was we had to completely fall apart. We had to go through hell in order to get to the place where where we could be the Federation and do those things. And I feel like the same thing now is set up for Stargate, where we know that there's international stuff going on, where there's it's just the international security stuff where we don't really trust people or whatever. We saw that back.
We literally saw it last week in the last episode.
Well, and the one, as I say in the last one, it's not just international; it's inside. Like we got dirty players here, so we're going through a version or the beginnings of our hell. But now we have these Asgards who can look at us in a more galactic, bigger picture way, and they're like, yeah, like you got a lot of potential here.
You're not there yet, but you could go there. The Gould aren't going to go there. They don't have that potential for good, but you guys really, really have that potential. We've been studying for years, so we really know a lot about you right now.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like the Gould, because the Gould are a faction of the symbiotes or whatever they're called. And so I want to talk about the symbiotes here, where I think they probably had great potential, or still have great potential as well. The thing is, and when I worked in professional wrestling, I used to help teach at one of the schools, and I didn't teach how to wrestle. They didn't want that, but how to talk and how to develop your character and things like that. But I remember we'd have these people come in who had a ton of potential, great athletes, great charisma, all these things. Pro wrestling is a very different thing than any other sport. It doesn't translate 1-to-1. It's hard. And I came up with this thought, this kind of way of thinking, that you can only have potential for so long. At some point, you're great or you just suck. And I think that's like the Gould being in that, my 3-step example, being a step ahead of humanity, or Tauri, they've gone to suck. Humanity still has the opportunity to go to great.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Jack's response. He says, you got to know we're out there now. And he says, we might not be ready for a lot of this, but you guys got to know we're doing our best.
Mm-hmm.
Which, looking at last week's episode and the previous episodes where there's international issues, there's domestic issues, there's all these sorts of things. Listen, we're trying. We kind of suck, but we're trying. We keep getting on the diet and we keep cheating and we keep failing, but we keep getting right back on, and we're not giving up, and we keep trying. And that idea, it's okay not to be perfect. The progress, you don't have to have this constant progress. You can have setbacks. You don't have to wait to be perfect to get out there.
Right.
He says, no, we're here now. And all of those pieces, just again, the hope. And it's what's so inspiring about this one is it's not us saying it. It's someone else who is further down the path than we are looking at us going, you guys could be it.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th race. Wow. Not just another race. The 5th race to join an alliance. How many races are out there?
Right.
That's right. It's a big deal
mm-hmm.
with all of that. So that being said, Jeff, I'm going to make a change to the format of this show.
Okay.
For a season and change now, we've been rating this thing on a scale of 0 to 5 chevrons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've received lots of messages over the last season and a half since we've been doing this show, and I'm going to make a change based on a lot of those messages.
Okay.
But
wow.
because it just makes a lot of sense. This should not be 0 to 5 chevrons. This should be 0 to 7 chevrons.
Duh.
Okay.
Duh. Yeah.
This literally is the sci-fi message that we look for. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
Through and through. Jeff, like the show, this episode gets 8 chevrons.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
All the way through.
This is the one. I got to tell you, too, I couldn't agree more with that. I love that we went there. And I also love that we're going to make it 0 to 7, because if you're a 7 chevron episode, that means you're bringing it home. Right? Like, it's,
I love it. It's not just you don't talk about it, you're out there, whatever. You actually brought it home. I love it. I love it.
I think this will be great. Excellently done. Well said. 8 chevrons through and through.
All right, Jeff. Well, I gave it 8 chevrons. The real question is, where does this episode go in our ranking? Because we are creating the definitive, 100% completely accurate ranking of the episodes of Stargate SG1 Season 2. Jeff, it is up to you. I do the ranking, I do the rating, you do the ranking. Where do you place this episode? Our current top 5, as it stands now. Our number 1 episode is the duology from... Hush. Our current top 5... they're playing. They've just decided to start playing.
Now's the time. The time.
Yes. If you give me 3 minutes, we'll be done. Maybe 5. We'll be done, okay? They just want to play. Okay, here we go. Are you making notes for editing?
I'm making... I'm looking at the... I'm getting ready for ranking.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and do the spiel.
Okay, yeah. Jeff, our current top 5 as it sits right now in the number 1 spot is our Season 1, Season 2 duology episode, Within the Serpent's Grasp and In the Serpent's Lair. Number 2 is the episode called Secrets. That's where we met Sam's father. Number 3, Thor's Chariot. That was an early Asgard episode. 4, Spirits, which we had just a couple weeks ago. lot higher than I thought it would be, but I totally get why it's there. And number 5, the Tok'ra, parts 1 and 2. Jeff, where do you rank this episode, The Fifth Race?
Wouldn't it be awesome if I ranked it 5? It was 5th because it was the 5th race. I think that's kind of poetic.
Yes.
You know, maybe and poetry is a great thing. Maybe I should. No, it's number 1, Brent. This is the number 1 episode of the season and the series
so
to date. Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong there at all. All right. Well, with that, this episode is going to have a button put on it. Boop. But wait, do I?
You got the prediction.
There's more, because at this point, it is time to come back to this prediction, which has been sitting back there for a long time. Jeff, I just would like to open this, and I would like to say,
well, hold on.
This prediction.
Yes. Do this. Previously on Stargate SG1 for the first time. Hey, Jeff, I'm writing a prediction right now. And then a lot of time goes by. And I'm going to put it back here. Now, whoop, and now the conclusion.
I'm putting in here. I hope you can see it. Go ahead and read it there, Jeff.
The 5th race will be the new number 1. What? How could you possibly know that?
Figure. But I would like to claim my crown yet again here.
You have earned it.
Okay. Hey, speaking of predictions, Jeff, it is time for you to take a look at next week's episode title and do your best. That I just get to laugh at you every week because, woo. Hey, by the way, if you go back and think about the 5th race, doesn't it make sense?
Yeah, complete sense.
Like, even when you hear the 5th race, you're like, they told you in the last episode about the repository of knowledge, and they freshened that up in your mind in the last episode. Anyway, this next episode, Jeff, is called A Matter of Time. Before you make your prediction, while you're making your prediction, Jeff, let me just tell you, this particular episode has a fantastic Babylon 5 crossover.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Cool.
We'll find out next week. But what do you think this is about? A Matter of Time.
I don't know what it's going to be about, but I think I know what the storytelling mechanism, like kind of the overall thing, is going to be. There's going to be multiple SG1s from multiple points in time coming together to solve one problem that like broke the timeline up. It's all a matter of time.
So it's into the Spider-Verse, huh?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of those episodes every sci-fi show does at some point. Voyager did it. Prodigy did it.
Mm-hmm.
Picard did it. Gosh, I mean,
Next TNG did it.
I was saying every Stargate one did it. Has Babylon 5 done it? Babylon 5 hasn't done time travel at all yet.
Mm-mm.
Okay, the ones that Battlestar Galactica, I don't think. Yeah, there's some who don't deal with time travel, but the ones that deal with time travel, which is most out there, yeah, at some point. Okay, so you think it's a time one? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, but we have already done in this one multiple universes.
Yes.
So
yeah,
Jeff
I don't think
we're going into the Spider-Verse. Got it.
Yeah, I don't think it's multiple universes. I think it's multiple points in time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jeff, you are a good guesser. And that means that it is time to say goodbye. We have come yet to the end of another episode here, right here on Stargate SG1 for the first time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. A phenomenal episode this was. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and review. Please share this podcast with someone that you know who loves Stargate SG1 or someone else who out there who needs to get into the gate for the very first time, like my friend Jeff over there. So for that, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. Remember, you have all the potential in the world to be amazing. So you should go be amazing.
Hey, Brent.
There. Yes, Jeff.
I was just thinking that Corvus can go to the flatulence of hoc est excitando spectaculum.
Jeff, for crying out loud.